Hello, everybody. Do you podcast? Of course you do. And if you do, I want to show you one of the most overlooked or understated secret weapons of voice processing, which is called the saturator. Saturation is an attempt to model the behaviors of analog gear and the kinds of tonality that they impart to a source. And in the digital realm, where we do so much of our podcast work, having something that makes things sound more analog gives you an opportunity to simulate some of the thickness and richness and fatness and tubbiness and springiness that old gear provided. And acoustically, they're just fun to listen to. They're very pleasing. Now, you can use saturation instead of equalization and instead of compression, or in conjunction with either or. There really is no magic formula. The secret is everything in moderation. So if you are going to use all three, you don't want to overload or overdo any one of them, because it'll probably create something that you're not very happy with. So let's take a look at some different saturators from the least expensive to the most. The first one is a free one. You can download this from Softube as long as you have some form of what's called iLok authorization, and I'll let you read all about that on your own, but some kind of an authorization vehicle, you can have this plugin for free. So let's take a listen to what it does. I'm going to slowly start dialing in a little bit of saturation until it starts to sound unpleasant. Have a listen. Tools, no universal audio interfaces, nothing but a nice microphone and a Tascam DR40 portable field recorder. You hear at the end it got a little bit fuzzy. Okay, so let's back it off a little bit and let's compare before and after saturation with the Softube saturation knob recorder. This thing's loaded up with 3 AA batteries and that's it. And I have my condenser microphone plugged straight into the device, no processing, no nothing. So the purpose of this recording is to show you what it can sound like without using any expensive tools. That's a really nice sounding saturator. The temptation is once you start using it, you start adding it to everything. So it not only makes it louder, but also adds a certain warmth and yet a little bit of a mid-range nose to it that it gives it a really cool vintage vibe, as I always like to say. All right, so that one's free. The next one is as part of the new Scheps Omnichannel, which again, I'm indifferent on wave stuff. They make some good things and they make some things that are not so great. I think the saturator is really good. So let's kick in the preamp, let's turn the saturator on and slowly start dialing in some tone. Really easily available stuff that doesn't put you out a ton of your pocket money, so you can get started podcasting on the cheap and get great results. So what I'll do is just record some short audio for that purpose today. And what I'll do is, the nice thing about the Scheps saturator is that even at 100%, it doesn't necessarily ruin stuff. If you want to ruin it, you can click on heavy, state the mission statement of my 2 podcasts, and there's that fuzz. But if you're just dealing with odd or even, then you can pick whichever one you like the sound of and dial in an amount of richness that suits you. Let's try it with nothing. So the Badass Agile podcast exists to create an elite tribe of leaders, can take agile principles and bring them back to their leadership game, and then bring that leadership to their teams, to their clients, to their products. I mean, that's nice. That adds something really special to the sound, don't you think? Here's one I've been using a lot lately myself. I love the sound of this. In fact, I'm even going to pull up the preset that I use for podcasts. And I'm just going to go from nothing and then turn it on and let you listen. Here we go. And to the world. The concept is that Agile and great leadership go hand in hand, and that the principles that we learn in Agile are useful beyond the software delivery community. Inherent in that also is that you need more than Agile skills. Isn't that nice? That just adds some fatness and richness, and it's also got a compressor built into it. Yeah, I really like the sound of this thing. I highly recommend checking out Kush Audio or House of Kush's Novatron. It's a new plugin, and it's really nice sounding. Now, I've used before the Plugin Alliance or Brainworx BX console plugins. All of their console plugins, whether you get console N, E, or G, have this little saturation screw, and it's like the Omnichannel one in that you can crank it all the way and it won't distort, but listen to how it brings the track to life. I'll have nothing turned on in this BX console plug except the equalizer has to be on. So what I'm going to do is set everything to neutral so that it's not actually having an effect. But if the equalizer is not on, then the saturator doesn't actually do anything. So we've set everything to neutral, and the equalizer is in. Now let's have a listen.
Hello, everybody. Chris Williams here. I am recording a podcast today using no expensive tools, no universal audio interfaces, nothing but
adds a nice amount of fullness and roundness, but in no way does it change the character. There's nothing nasal in there. There's nothing particularly aggressive or tubey or tapey, that it does a really cool job of just bringing it out a little bit, some subtle warmth and roundness that I really like. And so anytime I use these plugins, I'll tend to play a little bit with the saturation screw just to bring some life to the track. Here's an interesting one, also by Brainworx, or Plugin Alliance, called the SPL Twin Tube Processor. Now make no mistake, this one wants to add tube saturation to the sound of your track. The nice thing about it is that we can add saturation in the low end and in the top end separately, and you can even pick where you want to add the high end saturation. So I really like the sound of 2 or 3K. So let's go with 2K for my voice, which is both of them pressed in. So that's both are pressed in. And let's start dialing it in.
a nice microphone and a Tascam DR40 portable field recorder. This thing's loaded up with 3 AA batteries.
Now again, if you go too far, you're going to hear some sizzle.
And that's it. And I have my condenser microphone plugged straight into the device. No processing, no nothing. So the purpose of this recording is to show you.
So we don't want to go full fuzz, but at moderate settings, let's check out the difference. Off.
You what it can sound like without using any expensive tools. Just really easily available stuff that doesn't put you out a ton of your pocket money.
Smooth, subtle warmth with some nice tubey kind of nose in the mid-range that works really great on a vocal. Let me tell you, this really adds some presence. And the last, and certainly one of my favorites, is if you have the universal audio hardware, is the tape emulator called the Ampex ATR-102. This one not only adds some tape effects, but also some saturation, as little or as much as you want. And let's have a listen.
So you can get started podcasting on the cheap and get great results. So what I'll do is just record some short audio for that purpose today. And what I'll do is state the mission statement of my 2 podcasts. So badass.
You might notice immediately that it's quite a bit brighter and more aggressive in the mid-range. We can actually open up the recorder and play with the equalizer. So if there's too much top end there, I can pull that back. And I can add or remove low end if I want to. And absolutely, if I overdo it, I can get some sizzle and some unpleasant distortion. Let's have a listen.
Agile podcast exists to create an elite tribe of leaders. Can take agile principles and bring them back to their leadership.
So you can hear that's a little messy here, and I can also overload it on the input stage.
Leadership game, and then bring that leadership to their teams, to their clients, to their products, and to the world. The concept is.
But man, that has some really nice presence and a really nice tapey feel to it as well. This one, of course, requires that you have the universal audio hardware. There's one more option I want to show you by Kazrog, I believe it's called, KClip. KClip lets you choose whether you want to have smooth, crisp, or brittle, tubey vibe, or a tapey vibe. So let's try tube and tape just for fun.
Concept is that agile and great leadership go hand in hand, and that the principles that we learn in agile are useful beyond the software delivery community. Inherent in that also is that you need more than agile skills. You need.
Let's listen without. I'll go back to the beginning.
Hello, everybody. Chris Williams here. I am recording a podcast today using no expensive tools, no.
Nice warmth. I don't love the tube sound as much as the twin tube or the Ampex, but I do like that sound. Let's try tape.
Universal audio interfaces, nothing but a nice microphone and a Tascam DR40 portable field recorder. This thing.
Let's try without.
This thing's loaded up with 3 AA batteries, and that's it. and I have my condenser microphone plugged straight into the device, no processing, no nothing. So the purpose of this recording is to show you what it can sound.
So that's kind of nice. It is not as precise maybe and as shiny as some of the other saturators, but it does have the advantage of maximizing the signal's loudness for you. So this is part compressor, and it is meant to finalize your tracks, so it can be a one-stop shop for you, perhaps. So again, with equalization, with compression, without, in conjunction with, it doesn't matter. A little subtle saturation can go a long way to giving your voice some true weight, depth, roundness, warmness, intimacy, and even at the same time adding some mid-range brightness or tubey kind of, well, intimacy and proximity that made those old pieces of gear so highly coveted. So I hope this helps you. One of the secrets, not everyone will talk about this, but grab yourself a cheap or free saturator and use it to add a little bit of magic and shine to your podcast tracks. That's it, guys. Any questions, let me know. I'll see you next time.